Good morning, everybody. How are you this bright Wednesday morning? Hope you have started your day well, and I hope that you've had a good week so far. And anyway, want to come out here this morning and talk about your blueprint of your unconscious mind. I'm feeling a little bit tired today. I went and did a talk to as a clinical reflexologist, I went and did a talk at a special school yesterday to 13 mums and did reflexology demonstrations for them so they could go and treat their children. There were mums at a special needs school. It was a special needs school here in Brisbane. Actually, two schools together came. And so I'm feeling a bit tired because I gave them a lot of energy and time and space yesterday, and they all left really happy, ready to go home and help their children. So that was good. So that's part of what my week's been like. So I hope yours has been good and rewarding, and you've got joy from giving to other people as well. So today, let's talk about the duties of your unconscious mind and your unconscious mind blueprint, and how you can recognize traits and things happening within yourself that you may not even realize. Did you know that that only 2 to 5% of what you do is you do consciously? All the rest of your body and your mind is run unconsciously. So 98% of what happens to you every day is unconsciously run by your own body and your mind. So your unconscious mind is really your own personal genie in a bottle. So when you know and recognize habits and traits within yourself, then you can rub that little bottle and get that genie out to do what you want it to do more often and for a better outcome. Because sometimes when we're unaware of how we're acting and how we're relating to others and what we're doing in our lives, then we don't get the outcome that we want. You know, things might happen to you when you think, oh God, why does that same thing always happen? And I don't mean it to happen, it just does. Well, it's a little groove that you've got in your unconscious mind, a habit that you've formed unconsciously that you're not aware of, and it just keeps popping up over and over and over again. And when you become aware of that, then you can develop good habits and thoughts and focus around that to change it for yourself. So you speak consciously, but your thoughts and your habits are unconscious. So with intent, you can bring your thoughts into your conscious mind by doing exercises. For instance, particularly around your language, there are things called red flag words where you have a whole lot of negative words that you might be unconsciously just throwing into your vocabulary day in, day out, and you're not even aware of that. And when you know about those red flag words, then you can be aware and change them in your vocabulary. I find that word really, really hard to say. And then you can change your words to a more positive focus, and then your outcome in life will be different. And you'll find that you will be able to relate to people in a more positive way. So I'll just run through some of these things that your unconscious mind does that you may not even be aware of. It preserves your body. Your unconscious mind has an actual blueprint for perfect health. So if it didn't, how else could it know how to mend a broken bone? How else would it know how to mend a cut in your body? So the unconscious mind is geared for health and repair. So it always wants your body to be healthy and has that blueprint for perfect health. It's when we're not taking notice. So I did a talk last week about, your body talks to you. Are you listening to it? It's when we don't listen to the messages that our body gives us. It's when our conscious mind is taking over from the messages that our unconscious mind is trying to give us, and our health may decline. So if your unconscious mind is behaving poorly, it's affecting your body, and it's not going to be addressed. So if you're living in the past, constantly always bringing up your old story from past hurts and past emotional baggage that you have, and holding on to resentment, your fears, your not forgiving at all of other people, and causing misery not only in your own heart but to others, then that's when you get dis-ease in your body. It creates a dis-ease in your body. So just be mindful, just be a little bit aware of that. So it also unconsciously runs this musculoskeletal mechanics in your body. You know, it's where how you run, how your muscles allow you to move and get up and get down, and all the internal functioning of your body. All your organs of your body run unconsciously. They know exactly what to do. Your brain is constantly telling your organs exactly what to do and how to run. So your brain's like the factory of your whole body, and it's giving you those unconscious signals to keep your body working effectively. So it also recognizes your thoughts and attaches visual images to your thoughts. So if I say, think of a green apple, what's going to pop in your head? A green apple. So it always, your unconscious mind attaches images and visions to your thought, So it's always symbolic, and it captures your thoughts and turns them into images. And sometimes when we're in a negative frame of mind, we get images that really aren't good for us at all. But when we're a positive frame of mind, those images aren't quite so scary that pop into our head. So it takes everything personally, not emotionally. So, you know, the old saying, perception is projection. So how you perceive something is what you project out into the world. And it literally thinks about self all the time. Your unconscious mind thinks about self. So when you say, oh my goodness, that person is so stupid, your unconscious mind is actually thinking that you're talking about you. And it's sending that vibration right through your body. So it's very, very important that you be kind to yourself and nurture yourself with the language that you use about yourself. So did you know that your eyes are the same eyes that you had when you were a little girl, say 3 or 4? So when you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, oh my God, I'm fat, I've got dark circles under my eyes, and I look like crap today, then that's going right through your whole body, and you can't seem to shake that throughout the day. But just remember that you're looking at yourself through the eyes of a 3 or 4 year old child. So if you were addressing a 3 or 4 year old child, would you say, oh my God, you look so bad today? Oh my God, oh, why are you doing that? You would be kind to them, wouldn't you? You would you'd give them praise, and you'd uplift them and tell them that everything's okay. So it's very, very important that you do that to yourself too. So before you start criticizing other people, it's very important that you remind yourself that your unconscious mind is also criticizing yourself at the same time. So our unconscious mind is also where we hold and store our emotions. It's like a big computer that's storing emotions all the time. It's very, very connected to our emotions and what we feel. And sometimes, you know, as women, we tend to suppress emotions and just want to move on through life and keep going like we're supposed to. But when you suppress those emotions, they're going to come up later on and probably bite you in a bigger and badder way. There's going to be some trigger in life that's going to all of a sudden bring anger or bring rage or bring fear or anxiety or guilt straight to the front, and you're going to think, oh my goodness, why do I feel that way so strongly? It's because you've suppressed your emotions and pushed them down, and your unconscious mind has just stored them, and then something has stirred them up that's going to bring that to the fore and cause emotional havoc for you on that occasion. So just be mindful of that. Your mind does, whenever you feel something negative, your unconscious mind does store it for use later on if you have a trigger that's going to bring that to the front. Another thing that your unconscious mind does is it doesn't know how to process negatives about yourself. Like if you say, I don't want to be late, then it just gives you that you're going to be late. And that's something I've struggled with a lot, and I have to remind myself all the time to say, I want to be early. I have to focus on what you want. So instead of saying, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to be struggling from week to week, you say, I want to be wealthy and I want the money to flow. So you always must focus on what you want in life, not on what you don't want. And the same goes with our health. Say, I want to be healthy. I want to lose weight. Always focus on what you do want, and it's going to deliver it sooner rather than later. Whereas if you say the opposite, like, I don't want to be sick, or I don't want to be don't want to be overweight, then if you always focus on what you don't want, then high chances are you're going to get just that. So be very, very conscious of focusing in the positive. So because the unconscious mind is a really, really good servant, and it's going, if you keep thinking in the negative, then it's going to serve up to you everything that you're thinking about on a plate, and in droves, really. So it stores your memories also, and it attaches emotions to them. I did mention to you last week in my talk about the body that there is always emotion attached to memories for women. It's how we remember everything so well. Men say, well, how did you remember that? It's always because we remember how we felt at a certain lives. And then we've stored that in our unconscious mind, and we remember the feeling that we had in that moment. And that's how we have good memories. So we remember how we felt, whether it be good or bad in any moment, and we attach a date line to it. And it's firmly imprinted in our brain. Men can't do that. So, it's a good thing in a lot of ways. So, and as I mentioned before, our unconscious mind suppresses emotions for later resolution. So it will bring it to the surface when you get a trigger. Your unconscious mind seeks more and more of something. It's like, I know when I was pregnant, and then all of a sudden I start seeing pregnant women everywhere. One time I bought a red car. Never noticed red cars before, ever. But sure enough, as I was driving down the road, red cars were coming at me everywhere. So it always seeks more and more of what you're actually focusing on. So that's why it's very important to be thinking always in the positive, because it will seek more and more of what you're focusing on if you're going into the negative. So you have to be very specific about what you ask, because your unconscious mind will choose the path of less resistance for you. So if you're constantly thinking negative, it will just go there and go that way. So it's very important that you think positive. And when you think about something like out of the blue, you might think, your car's running a bit dodgy, and you think, I don't want the car to break down. Sure enough, the car will break down. You've kind of always got that. If you're thinking negative, as I mentioned, it's going to keep serving it up to you. So also females, just talking about the difference between men and women, we have amazing neural highways in our brain, much more than men, about 23% actually, more than guys. And it generates high energy, and it has more blood flow between the heart and the brain. So it's very important for women to have to tune into their heart space. There is more connectivity for women between the heart and the brain. And that means we are able to generate more emotion around things. But then women, this is our life force also. And we can easily turn negative power into positive power when we realize that we do have that. So we can achieve much more unconsciously than men. It's super easy for women to achieve more if we understand and learn about our female superpowers and learn to go with our femaleness, if you like. So it's very important. Our conscious mind is also, when we look at things on a whole, our conscious mind tends to be really, really judgmental about things when we just think on a conscious level. And our unconscious mind will go along with that if you allow it, if you don't have that awareness. So your unconscious mind will tap in and find evidence for all the negativity that you think and all the limiting beliefs that you feel. So your unconscious mind does actually enjoy giving you, it enjoys getting clear, consistent, and congruent orders. Okay? So if we're constantly thinking in the negative and constantly not going with a positive energy, then we're giving our unconscious mind clear, consistent messages that we don't want to have a good day, or we don't want to have good relationships, or we don't want to be successful. So once you have this emotional intelligence around how your unconscious mind works, then you can start putting actions in place to change habits and situations that are occurring in your life, and for the better. So yeah, because your unconscious mind likes to form habits. So if you are constantly in that negative habit, then it will keep going with that negative habit. Just an example of how your unconscious mind likes to form habits. Remember when the first time you jumped into a car and you were all over the place, you didn't know what was what, and you felt nervous about everything. And then within a month of driving consistently, you didn't really have to think, or 6 months down the track even, you didn't have to think about what you were doing. And sometimes you can just jump in the car and you can drive mindlessly in a way to where you're going. And it's because your unconscious mind has formed a habit about what you're doing. So it just automatically does it. It's so clever. So yeah. So that's a good rundown of a little bit about your unconscious mind blueprint. But I just want to talk a little bit about the difference between men and women now. We are emotional beings. Men are linear logical thinkers. We burn emotion into everything, and we store it in our heart and in our minds. So, but sometimes we hang on to things so long, too long, in fact, and it starts to really, really affect our life in a way. It impacts our life. We beat ourselves up for failing constantly, telling ourselves that we're useless and that we can't do it, and it's all to do with women. We have a uterus, and our uterus works in connection with our brain. It regulates our hormones, which also affects the way our brain works. So if we understand how we can work in flow with our cycle, then we can actually function better in our lives. And that's another talk I'll do another time, about how we can be in flow with our own female cycle and know what to do when in the month to get the most out of our month. And in particular, the week leading up to our period occurs is referred to as the winter week. And you know how you feel in winter, where you just want to hibernate and draw in and close the shutters? And that's how our body reacts in that month leading up. It's when you may be likely to suffer from PMS, and you feel like the whole world hates you, and you just want to be more insular within yourself. That's your winter week. So if you're not honoring that as a woman, and you're not being a little bit kinder and more gentle to yourself, and you set yourself deadlines and goals for that week, more, it's not going to happen in the way that you want it to. Okay? You start feeling down, and you start to beat up on yourself. But just know, it's not you, okay? You are not meant to do anything consistently that week. In fact, women aren't really meant to do anything consistently at all, because we have our cycle, and the 4 weeks of our cycle. Every week is different. The four weeks are equal to 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. And each week we're going to be different within ourselves. So it's good to know those weeks and those the weeks of the cycles and seasons of your cycle, so you can plan your life and your business around that, and how to run your life better, and know which is your more creative and more productive week. Know which is your week that that you just need to take it easier. And when you run your life and your business according to your cycle, then your life's going to run smooth. But that's a whole nother Facebook Live that I'm going to do another time. So when we look at traditional coaching out there, the NLP, a lot of coaching, it's all been mainly created. Psychiatry, the Carl Jung psychology, it's mainly been created by men with male brains, and the cyclic nature of our female mind has not even been taken into consideration a lot when all these techniques and procedures for the mind and have been formulated because they've been created by men, simply. So women have tried to use their conscious mind, because that's how psychology, psychiatry, NLP, well, NLP is delves a little bit deeper, but mainstream coaching does work with the conscious mind. So women have tried to use their conscious mind to take over the duties of their unconscious mind, and that's when we don't trust ourselves, when we can't be consistent, we can't meet our goals. And that's when we burn out, because we develop all this stress within our body, and we end up suffering from adrenal exhaustion because we're push. And as women, we're not designed that way. So just know it's not you, okay? It's you're a woman, and you're just not designed to be constantly pushing yourself. You become quite disconnected with yourself when you do that. You can become a little bit disconnected from your gut, your intuition, your heart space, and you become not trusting yourself when you're not meeting your goals. You feel like a failure, and then you become fearful of even success, because you think, well, if I get there, how am I going to manage it? So women really have been given a little bit of wrong information. We need to get it. We need to balance ourselves in the female way, and there is an easy way to do that. Men can de-stress very easily. They have that nothing box. When you go and when you see a man, well, it could be a partner, your husband, your boyfriend, or just father, and they'll go and sit in front of the TV and they'll grab that remote control, and it's just like their space, and you ask them what they've been thinking, and they go, nothing. And it's because they have actually been thinking of nothing. They go into their peripheral vision and they create that nothingness, and they de-stress. Go right back to the caveman days. It's really, it's within them. It's their little de-stressing gift. And, so men's brains get a reprieve from focusing. Their minds switch off daily sometimes. And they are built for more focused tasks, because they know that they can switch off at the end of the day. Okay, they just go for it, then they switch off. Okay, women's brains aren't like that. Okay, we don't have that nothing vision range that men go into. Our minds are constantly going, and to us, everything is connected to everything, and our minds never stop. Actually, we get quite annoyed when we see the man sitting there doing nothing. But I mean, we have to back off, because now that's their de-stress mechanism, and they usually are not thinking of anything. Their mind goes blank, and them. So I do have a technique that I teach women that actually does give them a nothing box, and it'll be in my program later on when I get it going. So women's reprieve is in our cycle. It's particularly in that winter week when we just want to tune out, and we need to tune out and just chill out. But it's when we push ourselves over and over again, our body screams out to us, because we keep going like that, because we've been misinformed and we're not in tune and intuitive with our own bodies anymore. We're trying to run our lives on a male program. Basically, we need to work in sync with our own cycle. Consistency goes against everything in our natural grain. Okay, as a woman, it does. There are times when your brain is just hazy, and it's meant to be, usually in that winter week. There are times when our brain can focus more easily, and you need to capitalize on those. And that's in other weeks of our cycle. So just trust your intuition, trust where you are through the week, and know when you can power and when you just have to take it more easily. Okay? So don't regret that week when you just feel like you can't do anything. Just let it go. Be kind to yourself with that. And you're going to have an easier week if you do that and be kinder to yourself. Okay, so I just noticed that the three things that regular coaches, because I'm a Creatrix transformologist, and I get right down deep into the unconscious mind of a woman to give them their own life learnings from a really deep core space. And when a woman is in that space is when they can really start to recode their unconscious mind into positivity, learn the positive things that you were born with, and you intuitively know that's unique to you, and bring them up to the surface and recode your mind to power through life in a very, very positive way. Nothing really has trigger and sting to it once you've done Creatrix and cleared out all that emotional baggage that you've stored over the years. So the three things that coaches can teach women that causes them to fail is to be consistent, because we can't be consistent daily. It's not within our nature. Is to set goals. Sure, we can set ourselves a goal, but don't beat yourself up so much if you don't get it finished. Just take small steps, be kind to yourself, and even if you do, say, 3 things in a day, that's 21 things in a week. That's good enough. Just 3 major things in a day, and if you don't get them finished, just carry them on to the next day. It's no problem. There's always another day. So, and we can't focus. It destroys the cells in our brain, because when we're in that week that we can't really focus, it's the wrong time for us. It's great for men, but not for women. Okay, this is not our natural way. Okay, so female mind, we speak to our conscious, plus the male mind speaks with the linear logical solutions, and they're task orientated. Okay, when we continue to focus, we add stress in our lives, and it just gets too much for us as women, and we just feel like we can't cope. So continually focusing on something takes us away from our gut instinct. So, and when we move away from our gut instinct, it also affects our awareness about ourselves. Okay, so we can't really be aware of who we are and what we're doing as a woman if we're not even in tune with ourselves and our gut instinct. Okay, we just start accumulating emotional baggage because we don't know what to do with it. Okay, so just remember that. So it's if you are in tune with how the female mind works, it's easier to recognize traits within yourself and not beat yourself up so badly. Okay, so I'll just leave it there. That's a little bit of a tune in to you for you about how your unconscious mind and your emotional blueprint works as a woman. So yes, if you need to have a chat with me, how I can help you with Creatrix and help you smash through all the stuckness, negativity, the lack of confidence, the self-sabotage that you might be feeling, that you always mess things up, and even though you try hard all the time to get things done, it just doesn't happen, and then you just throw it all to the wind and you just beat yourself up. That's and you just sabotage everything. Even your relationships end up like that you just want to have a chat with me about that, just drop me a line and we can chat about that later. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you've enjoyed this Facebook Live and it's helpful to you in some way. And until next week, this is Leanne Boyd, and have a great rest of the week. And I'll see you all next Tuesday with another Facebook Live here on Fearlessly Free Women. Thank you very much. Bye.